All right, back live with you tonight on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has welcomed the sentencing of 87 illegal miners to a combined jail term of more than 600 years. Chairperson of the department's portfolio committee, Sahlulele Luzipo, says a joint oversight visit to Klerksdorp and Rustenburg last year reinforced his committee's long-held belief that zamas are run and funded by sophisticated ringleaders. For more on the sentencing and on the portfolio committee's work, we're joined by the chairperson now. Good to have you, Chairperson, and thank you very much for your time. The arrests not as satisfying as they would be for you, because you would have at least liked to see some of the kingpins actually being brought before the courts. What do you think is the challenge here? Why we cannot get to the kingpins but can quickly get to the runners?
Well, let me say good evening to you and your viewership. One of the first things, obviously, I appreciate the fact that there's action that is being taken. And I think when the law begins to bite, we hope that it will extend to the areas which we think you can call it the untouchable corners of our high criminal syndicate in this country. And I wouldn't be able, because I'm not an expert in criminology, to understand why we can't reach this maximum. But I think the complex nature of the criminal syndicate, as far as illegal mining is concerned, at the upstream level remains one of the key challenges. For an example, you look at the recruitment strategy or the recruitment phenomenon, that most of these people are recruited as young people who knew nothing, who are promised that if you are brought into South Africa, you are going to get lucrative jobs. And they're taken in at times without even any identity document, being brought in here in a very strange way, either through our own weaknesses in the system, be it our own system as far as management of foreign nationals is concerned, but also maybe our also lackluster system as far as the criminal justice system is concerned. So those are some of the complexities, because I don't think most of these people, when they are recruited, they are mostly in our or predominantly neighboring countries, are recruited on the basis that they are going to work as illegal miners. And that is why we say part of the major focus must be on the actual masterminds behind the entire process of illicit mining activities. And in that process, it will mean we must be prepared to even effect such measures, even to those that we are relying on to effect compliance with the law, be it officials within our own respective departments or officials within the criminal justice system.
Yeah. What then does this say to yourself as a committee, but also to your counterparts in the other portfolios, policing as well as home affairs, in terms of the work that you now need to do, certainly indeed to get to the masterminds?
Look, I think one of the critical issues, this exercise, it doesn't only prove as far as oversight is concerned. It also proves as far as operations are concerned that when there is a concerted, close working relationship amongst our high-ranking responsible officials, be it from police, be it from the NPA, be it at the level of even our presiding officers over criminal matters, be it magistrate or judges, but also in the context of the work that is being done by officials from the departments, especially mineral resources and energy, as well as home affairs. It also proves that a concerted cooperative arrangement amongst them will be able to yield the results that today we are talking about. For an example, from the point of identifying criminal activities where they are taking place, the invitation of those that are responsible to effect arrest when criminal activities are done, the invitation to those who must analyze and understand the trends, be it the criminal intelligence, and also with regards to the preparation of the dockets that will be presented to court, and the preparedness of those that are presenting those cases to the court so that they can be able to convince the presiding officers in the criminal justice system. It must be something that must be commendable, and say, if that exercise is then get recognition and be recognized in terms of now providing the resource requirements. Remember, none of the things that we made, for an example, as a requirement was that you need to have a dedicated unit that is focusing on capping and clamping down on illegal mining activities. And so that when the resources are channeled, they are channeled conditionally to address a specific aspect. Because that is why at times we always, some of us complain and say, as long as the budgeting is not program-based, we'll continue to have people who underspend, or departments who underspend, or funding that goes not to the necessarily where resources should have been directed. And I think this to me, the point that we're trying to emphasize is that with the cooperation that we have seen and the joint action that has been taken by these committees of parliament, it also says that operations have found expression to an extent that it yields the results that we see today, especially in the area of Klerksdorp, that is quite infested with such activities of illegal mining. Very brutal, very bad, and quite harsh in terms of the social being of people in those areas.
So one of the recommendations that have come from the three committees was particularly around the Klerksdorp area and the Pamodzi structures to be demolished, those high-rise concrete structures. So what do you think should be the next actionable item that should now happen towards that particular recommendation?
Look, obviously, we want to see government making the required investment so that all those recommendations will be realized. Most definitely, it may not be just easy. You will recall, let me just remind even the viewers at home, let me remind that in terms of the submission by Mintech, which is an entity under the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, they presented a very scary environment of how long it will take for them to close derelict and ownerless mine, including flattening down those concrete structures. And we have said that if we were to live for that life that they are suggesting, which is almost close to 20 years, or more than 20 years, that is a situation that it's too dire for us that we can say that we want to see in the next 20 years still struggling with this phenomenon. But they have been able to say, if more resources are put in, this matter is a matter that can be resolved within the next 5 to 6 years, and the matter could be put to rest. But when you look at the mere allocation of resources to close your derelict and ownerless mine, it actually tells you that the process must be too long. So we think that with this kind of recommendation, they will require to be backed up with the necessarily required resources so that they are able to reach the fruition that we expect all of us as South Africans. And this is one thing that we have said, that it has to be addressed and it must be arrested before it claims more lives, and also it becomes one of the major contributors as far as the measurement of crime in this country is concerned. Because illegal mining, especially gold in the gold sector, is not necessarily an illegal mining activities of people who are just doing mining illegal. It has got serious elements of criminal activity that is involved. It has got quite intense ammunition that are being utilized in that field, like specialized and well-trained individual as far as military is concerned. So you are not only dealing with illegal mining, you are dealing with a serious aspect of serious criminal activities that at most and in many instances are meted against communities, not just amongst those who are practicing illegal mining.
Yeah, indeed. The Hawks and the NPA saying that the accused were in custody since their arrest, guilty of a robbery with aggravated circumstances and charged on March 28. They were each sentenced to 8 years direct imprisonment. Is that enough as a punishment?
Look, the difficulty is that our criminal justice system must accept that we are a constitutional democracy. There are certain constitutional imperatives that we must live with. You don't take democratic principles only on the basis of your own convenience. So it will be difficult for me to say it is enough, because at the end of the day, these are people who will be living on the same revenue generated that they've been avoiding. Remember, when people are conducting, one of the basic tenets of illicit mining is to avoid contributing towards the revenue generation, paying taxes, royalties and other things. But unfortunately, these people, in that 8 years that they will be sitting there, they will be living on something that they were avoiding to contribute to. But the truth is, in my view, a message has been sent that you conduct this type of an activity, you continue to terrorize our communities, then you must know that the full might of the law will come into effect. And I think for me, this, more than any other thing, must and has to encourage our law enforcement agencies, in collaboration with those that can assist them to do effective work. They must see it as a sign of encouragement. And I'm sure from where they are, many of them, we must congratulate them for a work and a job well done, and be able to say, we expect, yes, you have done a good job, but we expect them to do more, including reaching the highest climax, the highest of those who stands to benefit out of illegal mining activities. And we will appreciate that at the end of the day, we may be able to find a solution as to whether this issue of illegal mining, especially in the gold industry, is indeed something that also find extraction and protection through the formal mining activities. At this stage, we don't have evidence that suggests so, and we hope it is not, but we urge that with this outcome that the courts have been able to do, it will encourage them to do more and go deeper to the source of this problem.
Chairperson, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. That's Sahlulele Luzipo, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy.